Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Cam. Today I'm going to talk about Phalaenopsis orchids. The reason why I brought up this topic today, whether or not you should repot your Phalaenopsis right away after you bring it home. A lot of people online recommend you to repot it right away because the fact that Phalaenopsis are sitting in this tightly packed sphagnum moss, and oftentimes you get this orchids in these cheap plastic pots that doesn't have any ventilation. Now, if you're wondering if you should or should not repot your orchids right away, there are things that you should look for. First of all, if there is nothing wrong with your Phalaenopsis when you purchase them while it's still in bloom, I would recommend against repotting it right away. I would rather you enjoy the bloom and wait for everything to be done before you repot your orchids. Now, I have here in front of me 5 different Phalaenopsis that I purchased off of clearance rack. They don't have any tags. They were cheap. The smaller one were $1 each. The big one were $2 each. So I pay a total of $8 for these Phalaenopsis here. I don't know what color they are. I bought them because I want to show you guys that not all orchids need to repot right away, especially when it comes to Phalaenopsis. A lot of us starting off collecting orchids all start off with Phalaenopsis because they're sold everywhere, even grocery stores, Home Depot, any big box stores, you name it. You find them everywhere. Now the question is should I repot them right away? Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so I'm going to take you to a closer look to whether or not you should repot them right away or you should wait until the bloom is done. Let's take a closer look. Now let's take a look at this one. Traditionally, all the Phalaenopsis that are sold in stores, they're all sold in this cheap plastic pot with one drainage hole on the bottom and packed in very tight sphagnum moss inside. Question is, should you touch it? Should you even repot it? Now, my answer to you is, if the root system is still green like this, I would recommend you just leave it alone, enjoy the bloom, repot it into your favorite media after the bloom is done. This one right here, if you look at the root system, this is still pretty good root system. I would not touch it. I would just enjoy the bloom. Now you're wondering, would those roots be rotted? The answer is no. If you know how to work with sphagnum moss. Sphagnum moss do hold a lot of water, therefore it takes a longer time to dry. But these orchids, when they potted it, they potted in very tight sphagnum moss. So the tighter the sphagnum moss, the less water it holds. That's what I've been told. But honestly though, it all depends on how you water it. If you let it soak, it can hold a lot of water. Now let's take a look at this one. This one right here, I would recommend repotting right away. Sacrifice the bloom if you needed to, because the root system here is very bad. You can see all the root has been rotted. This root has dried up. Root has rotted it. Okay. This is something that I would really consider repotting it right after I bring it home. Now this one though, I wouldn't even repot it because the fact that the root system on the top is still pretty good. Yes, I have a dry root here, but most of the root system here is still green. It's still pretty good. So if you have this kind of orchid, like this condition, the root system in these conditions, I would not touch it. I would just leave it alone. Yes, the sphagnum moss is very moist in here. If you can provide air ventilations, this orchids can live throughout the bloom season. I wouldn't worry about it. This one right here, if you look at it, the root system is still pretty good. Therefore, if you purchase this, okay, even though it looks kind of bad on this side, right here, you can see it, kind of like some root has been rotted it, but the top layer is still pretty good. You look at the root system here, it's still pretty green. You see that right there? Very green. You see that right there? Very green. So you take a look at the top layer of the root. This one though, I would just enjoy the bloom and I wouldn't even touch it. Now you have something like this. This I would definitely just leave it alone. Okay, I would definitely leave it alone because the fact that the root is very plump, okay, root system is still green. I wouldn't even do anything with this orchid. If you worry about the root rot and crown rot and whatnot, all I can tell you is don't water until you see the root color change. A lot of people think that this right here needs a drink. Yes, it's looking for a drink, but to be honest though, if you put your finger into the moss, I could feel a little bit moisture in there. I will leave it a few more days until this entire root system here turns a little bit more grayish before I water it. How do you water it? You can either soak it or just pour water on top. Okay. Now, in nurseries, these orchids grow in a tray like this. Okay, they grow in a tray like this, where there is ventilation right here. You can see it's, even though it's gonna sit on top of a rack, a grow rack. It's not gonna sit on top of the table. It's not gonna sit in a decorated container like this, because when we bring it home, this look kind of ugly. We want to put a decorated container, which we do a lot of time, and you buy orchids that are in decorated container or in arrangement. What happened to your orchids? If you buy an arrangement, I would recommend you to remove some of the moss inside the arrangement, let it breathe a little bit. Otherwise, chances are you will definitely rot out your orchid. But if you bought it like this and it's still in bloom, and you see it with potted in a decorated pot, okay, only reason why there is no aerations is because this hole right here, when it sit on the pot, it's covered. Therefore, there's no ventilations on the bottom, only the top. Okay, so if you want to prevent that happening, you can put some clay pellet if you have it, or some pebble rocks on the bottom, so that there's aerations for the hole. This will prevent rot. Okay, and it will help to dry out the moss faster. Now, if you want to know, like this one, I told you need to repot it. You want to know why? I'm going to open it and I'll tell you why. Okay, because the root system doesn't look that good to begin with. And I understand you want to repot this one, you scared, you can repot this one. But my experience, even myself, I would just leave it alone and enjoy the bloom though. But if you're scared, just remove these moss right here. You can see how tight these moss are being packed. Very tight. I know I'm gonna make a mess here. I'm just throwing everything on the ground. But that's the good thing about filming outdoor, because I throw everything on the ground and I don't have to worry about it. All this moss is gonna go to my compost piles. Now you can see a lot of the root system here is pretty much dead. Now, if you have an orchid in this condition and you bought it by mistake and you didn't realize how bad the root system is, and you want to repot it right away, I can tell you that oftentimes you would definitely have bud blast or lose the bloom. Are you willing to sacrifice that? Or you want to take a month or two to enjoy the bloom and repot the orchid? To me though, this orchid, even though it's in this condition, it's okay as long as you don't get the moss too moist. Now this is a little moist, a lot moist than what I expected. I purchased this a few days ago, but it was raining. I leave it outdoor. Temperature were around below 60s, in the mid 50s at nighttime. Sometimes it goes below 50. Did I have any damages? No. Phalaenopsis can take low temperature for a short period of time, but if you do it extended period of time, chances are you will get some cold damages. Experiment your orchid, see how far it can tolerate. Okay, get to know your orchids. That's the only way to successfully grow orchid. You have to get to know it. Now, you look at this root system. Yes, I told you, if you're scared, you repot it, and I would recommend repotting it. But you look at the system right here after we remove all the moss. The root systems, to me though, is still pretty good. Just you still have a lot of good working root. Most of these roots are still firm. And I don't see any crown rot. All right. Even though it's been sitting out here under the rain for a week, I do not see any crown rot. Now today I'm not going to repot these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stress this plant out. Just kidding. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this plant, let it dry before I do anything. If you have orchids in these conditions, you want to rejuvenate it, you want to help it recover faster, my recommendations is to let all the root dry first. Don't hurry, don't go ahead and hurry spray H2O2, okay? Or many of you know it, hydrogen peroxide. I don't see any damages. There's some dust in here. Don't worry about it because I leave it outdoor. When it rains, the water splashed on top. Some of the soil got onto it. Perfectly fine. I just rinse it up later. But right now, what I want to do is I want to leave this orchid dry, bone dry, before I repot it, before I do anything to it. The reason for that is you need to trigger it into a recovery mode. An orchid will conserve its energy and start sending out roots if the root feels kind of dry. And that's exactly what you want to do, is stress the orchids out. I know it sounds scary, but you do need to stress it out a little bit so that it kick into a safe mode to recover itself from being dead. So it's gonna start drawing energy from the lower leaves, and it's gonna try to produce more roots. This is the only way to do it. Now, should you do any difference? Do you need to use any special treatment for it? Orchids in these conditions, honestly though, you don't need to. Also, having the root dry, it's easy if you want to start water culture, or if you want to just go ahead and do your regular media. Went ahead and get a pruner and chop these roots out because there are just too many damaged roots. Oh, did I sterilize the pruner? No. Why? Because it's new pruner. I just got these, so you could sterilize it if you want. Once you get to know the my method of growing orchids, I wouldn't worry much about bacteria. Maybe viruses, but not bacteria. Now this is dead, so I just chop it off. Cut it off as much as possible. You don't want to have any dead materials. I just cut it off way to the base. This root system right here, black tipped. This is rotted at. This part is fine, so I'm just gonna cut it up to here. Your choice, you don't have to, but root that are long and gets in my way, I'll just cut it out. Phalaenopsis will grow new roots. Not too concerned about it. I will do a separate video what I'm gonna do with these orchids. But today, for the demonstration purposes, I just want to show you that your Phalaenopsis does not necessarily need to be repotted immediately after you purchase them, especially while they're still in bloom. I'm not sure you guys can see this. I'm not sure you guys can see this. I have a friend in there, right here. I don't know how it got in there. You want to know what it is? I bet you want to know what it is, huh? This is a earthworm, if you guys not familiar with it. Not gonna harm your orchids though, by the way. You don't believe me? I can remove it out for you and show it to you. How they get in there beats me. I think I leave it too close to the ground, and during the rain, earthworm doesn't want to be drowned, so they climb into my media. This is an earthworm. Not dead. It's still moving. See? Still moving. See? It's trying to climb out of my hand now. I know you guys gross about earthworm. I'm sorry, but I do gardening and I see earthworm a lot. I love earthworm. They help a lot. They help to fertilize my garden, so not too concerned about it. I'm gonna release this back to the ground so it can find its new home, not in my orchid media. Now, just for demonstration purposes, I got this orchid before Christmas. I think first week of December. I have not have any root rot under my care. I purchased this and I did not repot this. I have left it in this container. Root system is still awesome, green. Sphagnum moss, very moist. Want to see how moist it is? If you squeeze it, you should have water coming out. See? Droplet. Okay? It's moist. A lot of you guys gonna be worried about it. Isn't it too moist? Are you not afraid of crown rot? Are you not afraid of this? Are you not afraid of that? Okay. I didn't see any root rot. And this orchid's been sitting in this pot for about, I don't know, 5-6 weeks now. And it still bloom. Still send out more buds. All this bud has dropped. This is new under my care. Okay. They just sent out these were new one right here. All this right here, the new buds. When I got them. The newly developed buds when I got them in my house. How many times did I water this? Of the 6 weeks? Once. I only water once. Because that's how long it takes for this moss to be totally, completely dry out. You want to wait until the moss is completely dry out. You want to wait until the root like this inside. When you see the root like this color, silver color like this, a little bit more silver, it's okay. Because chances are the moss, even though outside is dry, the inner core is still moist. That means there's still moisture going to be released to the root, and the root can still absorb moisture through the air, evaporations, okay? So you're concerned about it, water less, okay? It's okay to underwater an orchid than overwater an orchid. It's okay to have wrinkled root system than to have rotted root. If you have a root that is dehydrated, that is thirsty, that is wrinkled, that looks very silver and gray color, like this one right here, it's okay to have that kind of root system. It's better to have that kind of root system than have a bunch of root and rotted. It's easy to rehydrate a root that is thirsty than trying to fix a rotten root. You cannot fix a root that is already rotted. There's no way there's no way for you to fix it. There's no way for you to recover a dead root. But there is a way to rejuvenate your thirsty roots that are wrinkled. Okay? So again, do you need to repot your orchids right away? My question to you is no, not always. Are these plastic cup bad? No, they're not bad. If you worry about it, you can gently remove this plastic. Okay? You can just take it out. The moss is not going to be deformed. Hold on. Let me take a smaller one. Easier with the smaller one. You can just yank it out, push it out. Okay? And what you're going to do is, if you want to create more ventilations, take it out. Get a pruner, get a scissors, cut some hole like this. Make some cutting. Make some cutting like this. Just like that. Now we make some ventilation hole for it. And then you could put the orchids right back in the cup where it was. You see? It's done. Do you have holes now? Yes. I just make some, hole on the side. So now the orchids can breathe. So you don't have to worry about root rot. So you have container like this kind of containers, it's okay. Just take it out, put it back in, and then water it when the root system completely dry. Even though you see this one right here, it looks dry, but it's not. If you look inside, the moss is still moist. I mean, it still provides moisture to the orchid. You don't need to water it. All right, so that's it for today. All this orchids is gonna get repot because they don't have flower spike anymore. Maybe I do a demonstration leaving one of these orchid in this pot for a longer period of time. So just to show you that it's okay to have orchids in these conditions, in this kind of pot, and you will not have any rot. Okay, so maybe I save this one right here because it has more root system. Or you know what? I keep one that is not as as ideal. I don't want to get the good one, right? So let's say that this one, okay? So I'm gonna keep this one in this particular moss right here. I'm not even gonna touch it. I'm not even gonna remove everything. Just to show you that I'm gonna keep this one, I'm gonna remove everything else. This is it. This is the only one left, okay? All of this has been removed, all the moss. No questions. So you guys gonna see, I will do more update video on these orchids. How bad the root system? Not really bad. Look at this. This looks bad, but actually though, it's not that bad. Not to worry about it. Like I said, I would not water these. I would not pot it up right away. I will stress them out. I'll make sure the root system has turned completely gray color before I water them. Okay? So thanks guys for joining in. I hope you now understand that you do not need to repot your Phalaenopsis right away after you purchase them. You can wait until the bloom has finished. You need what you want to enjoy the bloom. That's the reason why you purchased the flower for. Okay? So if you're like me, I like this because it's cheap. So if you buy plants that are not in bloom, they usually sell for cheap, $2. Okay? So very good deal. Where do I find it? Well, you live in Southern California. There are ways. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notifications. Also share to your orchid fellow growers if they have concern about what to do with their Phalaenopsis when they brought it home. Okay, I will do next video about fertilizing it and what to do, what kind of fertilizer I feed it. Stay tuned. Thank you. See you next video.